Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum CSPro users. Tutorial on creating a sample file. In this tutorial, we will learn how to use listing data to create a sample file for a household interview on the supervisor tablet. Run the application to see how the result will be displayed before going through the syntax. Log in as a supervisor in the application. If you want to know how the login works, please see the Create Login Application in CSPro tutorial. The link can be found in the description box. After login, you will be taken to a menu screen with the following headings. Please see the tutorial on Create PFF and Menu for instructions on how to create a menu. The link can be found in the description box as well. For example, on your tablet, you have listing data from the enumerator's tablets. If you want to view the report, select View Listing Report from the menu list to view the data result after obtaining it. A report on the listing data will be provided to you. The total number of cases is 1019. We will create a sample of 742 cases out of 818 based on the dwelling interviews. Close the view report. We now have one more file, con_L_1234, in addition to the listing data that we have received from the enumerators. This file contains the report information. To open it, double click on it. It lists a total of 1019 cases. It means our concatenated files is fine and all data appears as a separate case. Now we are going to create a sample file based on the interviews in the listing data. Click on the Create HH sample option. After a while, a message will appear. It may take more than 1 minute at times. The message is that the total number of households is 742, which is the same as our initial report. To proceed, press F8. Now we have one more file, final L1234, in the listing data folder. To open it, double click on it. Instead of 1019 cases, you have now only one. Let's open it and explore. In one case, you have 1019 rows to create a sample file, and you can see 742 selected households in the third last column as shown in our initial report. If the structure type is residential and the interview status is completed, the application displays the number in serial. Otherwise, it displays 0. In this application, only 25 households will be chosen for interviews. We will identify those households in the second column. Household numbers 7, 37, 67, and so on are chosen for the sample. The new household ID is assigned in the last column. Now we have final sample file in the 107_ext_data folder. Let's open it and you can see only 25 selected households. Choose the application and log in as enumerator 1512 to view the assigned households. Assume you obtain the sample file from the supervisor. Choose Conduct Household Interview from the menu. A list of selected households will appear, which is assigned to enumerator 1512. Now compare the list to your sample data file, which is the same. It is now time to look at the logic that how the application works. To begin working, I have the following subfolders in the application folder: Login, Menu, Household Application folder, Listing Application folder, Data folder. This folder contains two more folders, one for household data and one for the listing data. com_listing folder. If you want to view the concatenated listing data, this folder contains a listing application for concatenated data. This application is different from the listing application. ext_dic folder. This folder contains three external dictionaries. Random number, which we will use for household selection. Sample HH dictionary. The purpose of this dictionary is to write and select a selected household. And the username password dictionary, which we will use for login in the application. ext_data folder. Initially, this folder contains only three files: random number, username password, and version file. Excel folder. This folder contains two Excel files: random number and username password. HTML_dialog folder. This folder contains only one file, choice. Please see the tutorial on using HTML dialogs for display logic function to understand how it works. The link can be found in the description box. First, we will look at the external dictionaries which we are using in the menu application. The main dictionary name is Menu Application Dictionary. I am using four external dictionaries. Random number dictionary. This dictionary exists in the 106_ext_dic folder. The second dictionary is listing dictionary, which I am using from the listing application. The third dictionary is com_listing_dictionary, which I am using from the combined listing application. The fourth and the last dictionary is sample HH dictionary, which I am using from the 106_ext_dic folder. Select the menu application level. From the menu application dictionary, we will set the maximum to 1. Click on the ID. I have only one item. Enter the ID with a length of 4. The data type is numeric. I have only one record in the menu dictionary, menu application rec. In this record, I have only 3 items: supervisor ID, EA, and role. We will set max 1 for random dictionary. In the ID, I have only one item, the supervisor code. This external dictionary has only one record, random number rec, with the following items: random number enum and random number. We will set max 1 in the listing dictionary as well. I have 4 items in the ID: listing login ID, supervisor ID, enumeration area, and listing household ID. This dictionary also has only one record, listing rec, with the following items: latitude, longitude, structure type, address, respondent name, gender, and interview status. Structure type, gender, and interview status have value labels. The third dictionary has a max number is 9999. You can increase or decrease as per your requirement, but you cannot set 1. In the ID, I have 2 items: supervisor code and enumeration area code. This dictionary also has only one record with the following items. In this record, we have 3 more items than in the listing dictionary: HH underscore SR, sampled HH, and final HHSR. In the last external dictionary, I set max as 1. In the ID, I have 3 items: EA, enumerator ID, and sample HHID. This dictionary also has only one record. This record contains 5 items: respondent name, HHID, latitude, longitude, and address. I have 4 fields on this form from the menu application dictionary. The data will be displayed in the accordance with the field label. I will begin writing logic in the second tier tree node, menu application level. Select the menu application level from the forms tree and then click logic icon. We use the load setting function in the preprog statement to retrieve information previously used using the save setting function during login. The fields login ID and supervisor ID are protected, and the cursor will move to menu app EA item. To view the logic, select menu app EA. To read the case from an external file, we use the load case function, and after that I use the external dictionary random number dictionary to read the external file. This logic is used in the onFocus statement. If we receive the data, the cursor will move to the menu app role item, and the menu app EA field will be protected. Otherwise, the application will be terminated. The function viewMenu is called in the menu app role field. User-defined function viewMenu are coded in the declaration portion prog global. There are 2 lists of choices, one for the supervisor and one for the enumerator. We are looking for a supervisor choices. View the listing report after receiving the listing data from the enumerators. The index number is 3 and it is saved in the dummy variable cell underscore option. We are calling 2 functions, ConcatListing and ViewListingReport, if the cell underscore option value is 3. Now let's view the logic in these 2 functions. In 2 different if statements in the ConcatListing function, I use the file exist, file delete, directory list, and file concat functions. Here is what we are trying to accomplish with these lines of code. If the file con underscore l underscore ea number exists in the specified folder, delete it. Otherwise, do nothing. I am using the list statement in the second if statement to create a list called entered keys. If the file exists, concate all of them. Otherwise, display the message and return to the menu app login item. Following the ConcatListing function, the ViewListingReport function will be executed. In the first section, we will determine whether you are logged in as a supervisor or enumerator, and we will set the data file based on this information. If you are logged in as a supervisor, the concatenated file will be used. Otherwise, the single listing file associated with your login ID will be used. For example, if you log in as an enumerator with the login ID 1513, this file will be assigned with the listing dictionary. To assign the file with the external dictionary, I am using the setFile function. If the data file does not exist, a message will appear and the cursor will move to the menu app login ID item, which will display the menu screen again. Following the setFile function, I declare these dummy variables to store the values. The name of the variable itself explains its purpose. We will use the for-case loop to obtain this information. We use the for-case statement because it executes one or more statements repeatedly within a loop for each case. The format is for-case, then dictionary name, and after that write the logic condition if required. Before and for, write the statement. I am using the inc function to increment the number. Inc essentially shorthand for interview is equal to interview plus 1. We get the total number of cases after the and for by adding the value of dummy variables. Now we are going to create a layout for the report. I will use the setFile and FileWrite functions for this. If you observe, the layout looks like messages. I will set the file with the file handler report file on the first line. Use the file handler name when writing the file. The dummy variables are used as arguments with the text. The format for the FileWrite function is use the FileWrite function first, then give the file handler name, then the messages, and finally, if necessary, give the argument. Now close your file and listing dictionary. I am doing this by using the close function, whether it is open as a file statement or a via dictionary. To view the report, use the execute system function. If we are working on Windows, then Explorer will work. Otherwise, we will use the view. Give the file handler name as an argument. After viewing the report, create a sample file for the household interview. To make a sample file, go to the supervisor menu and choose Create Household Sample at index number 6. I am calling 5 functions at index number 6. Concatenate the data file. We already discussed that how we will use the concatenate function in the view report. MarkDwelling is the second function. Following the concatenation, we will mark all 742 dwellings and completed interviews. The third is to select 25 households from among the 742 eligible households. In the fourth function, I assign a household ID to each of the 25 selected households in the sequence. Create a new data file of the 25 selected households in the fifth and final function. We will skip the ConcatListing function and instead look at the MarkDwelling function. In the MarkDwelling function, we will first check to see if the concatenated listing file exists or not. If the file does not exist, the cursor will move back to menu app login ID item. After this, I have two dummy variables with the initial value 1, iCase and I. The load case function is used to read the case into memory from the concatenated listing file. A while loop is used to read through all of the cases from the listing data file one by one. In the while loop, I use combined listing dictionary to assign values from the listing dictionary. I am not using any index or subscript after the load case in the first two rows because these two values, supervisor code and EA number, will be used as ID. These lines of code have a subscript I case. The starting value is 1 of the subscript I case. If the load case succeeds, the value from the listing dictionary will be assigned to the combined listing dictionary in the sequence. The combined listing dictionary will be assigned the first case from the listing dictionary, and the value of these three items will be 0. If the structure type is 1, residential, and the interview status is also 1, completed, the value of CL underscore HH underscore SR will be 1, and the value will be 2 by 1 increment at this line. However, in our case, the value in CL underscore HH underscore SR will remain 0 because the interview status is refused and this code of lines is skipped. At this line, we will increase the value by 1 and the I case value will be now 2. Now the loop run again for the second case. The second case information will be saved into memory for the combined listing dictionary, and the subscript will determine that this information is for the second case. The value in these three items will remain 0. Every time the loop will run, the value will be 0. At this time, the condition is true for the second case. The value in the item CL underscore HH underscore SR will be 1, and after one increment over here, the value will be 2. At this line, we will increase the value by 1, and the I case value will now be 3. Let's see another example. Now the loop run again for the third case. The value in these three items will remain 0. Again, the condition is true for the third case. The value in the item CL underscore HH underscore SR will be 2, and after one increment over here, the value will be 3. At this line, we will increase the value by 1 and the I case value will now be 5. This will continue until all the cases are completed. Once the loop is complete, we will write case using the write case function. First, we will see if the data file final underscore EA code, which is 1234, exists or not. If the file already exists, delete it and then recreate the file final L underscore EA code at this line. As a file handler, I am using combined listing dictionary name. The write case function writes a case from memory to an external data file final L underscore EA code. If the write case succeeds, we get the total number of eligible households and total number of listing. These lines of code will be skipped if the data file final L underscore EA code does not exist. The logic in the else statement is the same as it is in the if statement. We examine the logic in the MarkDwelling function and obtain the file final L EA code at the end of the function. Now open the file and look at it. Each eligible household has been assigned a unique serial number. Now go through the SelectHHforInterview function to determine how we will select 25 households from the 724 eligible households. The load case command will be used in the first part of this function to look up the supervisor code in the rand_number file. If load case finds the record in the external file, the cursor will move over to this line of code to read it. Divide the total number of households by 25 at this point and get the answer in the dummy variable int1. In the second line, int1 multiply by the random number and then adds 1 to get the answer in the dummy variable int2. At this point, the stored value is 7.620256 in the int2 variable. Assign the value 1 in the dummy variable I. This loop will continue until I is less than or equal to total count. If the value in CL_HH_SR at the first position is greater than 0, these lines of code will be executed. Otherwise, the cursor will skip to this line and the value of I will be increased by 1. In our case, this condition is false because the value in CL_HH_SR at the first position is 0. So these lines of code are skipped. This condition will become true on the second loop because the value in CL_HH_SR at the second position is 1. So the second if statement will be evaluated. If the value 7 in the dummy variable int2 equals CL_HH_SR at the second position, then these lines of code will be executed. Otherwise, the cursor will skip to this line and the value of I will be increased by 1. I am using int function with the dummy variable int2. The int function returns the integer portion of the decimal value. In our case, we will get only 7. The loop will be repeated and the condition will be evaluated. When we reach the 7th position, this statement will also be true and the value from int2, which is 7, will be assigned to the CL_sample_HH. This line will add the interval to the int2 variable by adding the value of int I. We use the write case function after the loop has finished. Following the SelectHHforInterview function, we will run the GiveHHId function in the same file LEA_code to create the household ID number. The procedure is the same as we discussed in the previous two functions. So let's view the data file. As you can see, the GiveHHId function generates the HHID in the last column. Finally, the 25 households have been identified in this file. This is the last function to create the sample file. First, we will see if the data file hhsample_ea code, which is 1234, exists or not. If the file already exists, delete it and then recreate the file hhsample_ea code at this line. We will use two different data files, one to save the selected households information and the other to get information about the 25 selected households. I am using for loop instead of for case or while loop. The rest of the procedure is same. as we discussed previously. So let's view the final data file. The final data file hhsample underscore EA code is located in the 107 underscore ext underscore data folder. This file contains 25 randomly selected households as individual cases. We can view these 25 households by opening this data file. Now log in as enumerator 1515 to view the assigned households. Assume you obtain the sample file from your supervisor. Choose Conduct Household Interview from the menu. Because there are only 2 households assigned to enumerator 1515, you can only see 2 households. Now log in with a different enumerator code such as 1514. Select Conduct Household Interview from the menu. At this time, a list of 5 selected households will appear, which you can compare to your data file. Please see the help and support features available to us for more information. Please refer to the built-in help topics or the online user support forum for assistance. Keep on learning and goodbye.